Well, he was up there for threatening and assaulting people, and he's been doing that since like elementary
Just-
school. That's what he did. So they probably as well that he had me.
Almost. Wait for the cameras to be live.
Yep.
Okay. Second. Okay, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to call the meeting to order. If everybody would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America,
And to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we remain standing for a moment of silence. New Milford Public Schools mourns the loss of William Neeb, a grade 11 student at New Milford High School. Will, as he was known, succumbed to injuries from a motor vehicle accident on the evening of December 16th. Will was an excellent student who carried an honors course load, and he contributed to the New Milford High School community as a member of the athletic council, as a 2-year member of the high school hockey team, and as an all-state golfer. Will was known for his kind heart, his friendliness to peers, and his diligence as a student. He will be tremendously missed by his peers, the staff, and the community of New Milford. Counseling support has been available at New Milford High School, and at this time, we offer a moment of silence for Will Neeb. Thank you.
Okay, we'll open up to public comment. And I don't see any, so we will go ahead and close that. And we will go ahead with the PTO report.
This is my first meeting.
Okay, you can just come right up to the, I don't know if the microphone is on, but we'll hear you.
The mics are on, though, they're in the ceiling. Yeah, so we can hear you. Yep.
Yeah. I am Becky Lang. I am the current Hill and Plain PTO president. Thanks for having me tonight. I'm going to focus a little bit of what's going on with Hill and Plain, but did just want to recap that all of our schools, our elementary schools, hosted a holiday shop for our youngest students to have an opportunity to shop independently and purchase gifts for their loved ones. It's always a sweet event for them. The elementary and middle schools also put on a hot cocoa and holiday treat bar. Things varied a little bit from school to school, but I know the staff really appreciated it. And there's some very creative spreads that the hospitality hosts put on. Switching over to Hill and Plain, we've had a lot going on. Just an update on some of our recent grants that we've approved. We've approved a grant for the first grade classrooms to purchase intentional play items as they incorporate more of that into their day-to-day. And then also kindergarten has come up with a new craft to replace their gingerbread activities that they had historically had every year in response to the district policy on the no food. So we were happy to do that as well. Coming up in the spring or the second half of the year, we're looking to book Playfill engineers who had actually just gone to Northville, who will mimic that and provide that same experience to the Hill and Plain students. And then we also have Bash the Trash set up for April in honor of Earth Day. So looking forward to those big school assemblies. This past Friday, Hill and Plain, we hosted a parent night out. We had 52 students who were dropped off on Friday night. Their parents had an opportunity to do date night, holiday shopping, a night to themselves, and so it was a really sweet event. The youth agency counselors came and played games with them in the gym, and then we also had a create station where they got to build whatever they they chose with some leftover craft supplies that we had. Looking forward to January, we are planning on hosting a family fun night with Mommy's Board Silly. So this will give an opportunity for families to come free of charge and have a night out, create something together. We're also really excited about the progress that our garden has made. So our garden was installed this fall. We had our last working prep session of the season in mid-November before it got a little too cold. We're really looking forward to incorporating that into our classrooms come the spring when we officially open it. In order to make it more welcoming, we did plant some bulbs, so there will be color when the classrooms go for the first time in the spring. So really looking forward to that. That's all that I had for you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the student representatives report.
All right. So at Sarah Noble, they started off with 7 concerts. Students have done a great job at each. Also, the past week they had the holiday store where students could shop for family members. At Northville, they celebrated Grinch Day, Ugly Sweater Day, and on Friday they have Pajama Day to support CCMC. The students also had the opportunity to shop for the families, and along with all of the fun activities, students continue to be busy working on their phonics skills, reading, writing, and math daily. And at Hill and Plain, thanks to NMHS, students from Mr. Braun's and Mr. DeFabio's children's literature classes who read their original children's books to our students. We also appreciate Ms. Kelly's help. The students loved listening to all our stories. This week, staff collected gifts from families, or for families in need, to make their holiday extra special, and kindergartners were asked to participate in their annual holiday card contest.
At Scotticoke, they had a busy stretch before Thanksgiving. Recess, they had their first ever student versus staff volleyball game. This upcoming SMS is going to have their band corps concerts. And at the end of the week, they're going to have they end the week with Color Wars, for like holiday break excitement. And their SMS Drama Club presented Ebenezer, adaptation of the Charles Dickens classic, A Christmas Carol. And then at New Milford High School, on December 6th, the Spanish Honor Society held their annual talent show. December 11th, the Band and Wind Orchestra concert. And they also had their advanced chorus concert. And on December 16th, the high school had their varsity sports award.
We would also like to wish everyone happy holidays.
You too,
Oh,
girls.
lovely.
Thank you. We're going to move on to the approval of minutes. I need a motion to approve the following Board of Education meeting minutes, regular meeting minutes for November 19th, 2024.
So moved.
Thanks, Tom. And
Second.
all those in favor? That's everybody. Thank you. And we'll move on to the superintendent's.
Thank you. As it should, the work of the school district comes to a halt during times of tragedy, such as what our district and community are facing today. Our most sincere and heartfelt condolences are sent out to Will's family, his friends, teammates, classmates, and our staff members who loved and cared for him each day. I'm thankful for how quickly our district and staff members pulled together in support of our students and each other. We have some very hard days ahead as we come to terms with the loss of Will, and I remind our students and staff to reach out to us at any time. A word of thanks, as always, to the New Milford Police Department for their ongoing communication with the school district and for their genuine care and concern for our students, staff, and community. A memorial vigil is being planned for this Friday at the high school, and we'll come up with a time soon. It's, of course, rapidly evolving during the course of this week. One other thing is that, of course, this is the last school week before the holiday break, and so we'll have a full day on Friday. And then we'll have a nice long break. And so everyone is looking forward to that. So thank you.
Thank you. And on behalf of the Board of Education, we send our condolences to Will's family and friends. Moving on to the board chairperson's report. I don't have one.
Understandable.
Understandable. Wendy, did you have anything that you wanted to report from last month or anything?
No, I'm good.
We can move on to subcommittees, starting with policy. That would be me. So you'll see that we just have a couple of policies that we're going to go over, or we've shared for first read, and a couple of other things for the 5,000s, but that's about it. We can move on to Tammy, Committee on Learning.
Yeah, Committee on Learning, we canceled that meeting because the weather was pretty terrible that night, and we were concerned about a quorum, and we figured there was nothing that we needed to vote on. There was no curriculum on the agenda, nothing else to vote on, that we can move any information that was important to tonight's meeting, which we have. So everybody will see the curriculum plan, the 5-year curriculum plan, and how that's laid out. So that's really interesting when we come around to that.
Perfect. Thank you. And facilities to Tom?
So we have 3 items to discuss during the informational portion of this meeting, so I'll hold off comments until then.
Perfect, thank you. And Eric, for operations?
I've got nothing to add to Mr. Giovanone's presentation.
Thank you. Okay. So we'll move on to the monthly reports. Budget position dated November 30th, 2024. Anthony, anybody have anything? Purchase Resolution D 789. Nobody? And request for budget transfers. I don't think there was one. Right. Okay. Done. I'm going to need a motion to approve the budget position dated November 30th, 2024. Purchase Resolution D 789 and request for budget transfer.
So moved.
Eric and Brian. All those in favor? That's everybody. Thank you.
Are we still on with Randy?
Yeah.
You are still on with me.
And we're-
If I say no, you will know that I'm voting
Perfect.
aye.
Just wanted to double check.
Thank
because-
you.
okay. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. So policies for first read, it's going to be 5,000 non-discrimination students. Does anybody have any questions on that? Discussions?
Just one thing, if I may.
Sure.
Just a suggestion.
Yeah.
I know that with Microsoft Word, you can track changes. And for this one, there's like 236 pages. You know, we're going through it all, which is cool. You're reviewing everything. But if a way to highlight, like, was changed to, would be really helpful. If it's possible. I don't want to, like, add
Okay.
to our budget, but
Just pull out until we know what we're looking at. Got it. Okay, then we'll move on to 5111, student attendance truancy and chronic absenteeism. Anybody? 5131, student discipline. Anybody got thoughts? 5142, administration of students' medications in schools. 5145.45, student and section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 and Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990. Anybody? No. And 5165, graduation requirements. Okay, we'll move on.
Can I just ask one thing about graduation requirements? Has anything changed with that, or is this just something that we're reviewing? Because if we have changed something, because it is almost identical in format to the past one, I would like to do what Eric proposed and do a side-by-side so we can see if any different requirements are being asked for, because that's extremely important, because we're talking about credits that kids need for graduation. So if we can just do that for the next policy, that would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, also keep in mind so one of the purposes of the red explanation at the top of the policies is to explain what the changes are in summary format, but we can see if we can manage to do the track changes.
I know it won't be possible for everything, especially when we're talking about something that's very new or
Brand new,
something that's
correct.
so completely changed. It's like completely opposite, but if we're looking at something that's just got things here and there, it is a little helpful. If we can't, then we understand that it's just so much stuff that it needs to be going through kind of as a new policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to C, board bylaws for first read. That would be 9005, official duties, assistant secretary. Any comments on that?
No, I'm glad that we added this, though. I think it's important.
Yep. Policy, moving on to D, policy recommended for deletion upon approval of policy 5131 in item B. So that's going to be 5114, removal, suspensions, and expulsions. Any questions on that? No, we all got that? Okay. E, acceptance of New Milford High School. I feel like somebody else should be reading this one. Acceptance of New Milford High School roof project completion. Are we all happy?
Yes.
And I would be delighted to make a motion to accept the completion of New Milford High School roof project.
So moved.
I'll second that.
There you go.
Through the chair. The reason this is on our agenda is that part of the requirements when we file with the Department of Administrative Services is they want to see the minutes where the Board of Education has accepted the roof project as complete. And so that's the reason it's on our agenda. We also just, for everyone's information, included the warranty that you can see is signed there, and it's the 30-year high-performance metal roof system. So
We
that's,
want to vote on that?
we are going to vote on it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hold your horses. Followed by a round of applause. Okay.
Yeah, I heard the applause through me.
Okay, all those in favor? Hallelujah.
Ooh, thank goodness. All right.
Okay. Adult, we'll move on to F, adult education evaluation. I need a motion to approve. Oh, is there any discussion on that? Anybody have a discussion?
Is there
Ms. Hollander is going to do some explanation of that.
Okay.
Yep.
Sure, I'm going to just talk versus showing. And so the adult education, just like the day school, has an evaluation process for its teachers. And just to tell you that Mrs. Martin and myself and Ms. Boswell, who serves as the evaluator, worked hard to align those two systems because, as you know, many, if not most, of the teachers that are in adult ed are also our day teachers. And so we wanted to not make it something different, but more of the same. So we modeled it after the professional learning model that is part of the educator evaluation system. And so we have focused our professional learning on explicit instruction and working with the teachers and providing them with professional learning and resources. So that is our evaluation for the program, and that's part of her review because later this year you will learn more about the 10-year review of our adult education program, similar to NEASC, that's going to take place in April, and this is part of that.
Great, thank you. Okay, I'm going to need a motion to approve the adult education evaluation.
So moved.
Tammy and who?
Brian.
Brian. All those in favor? That's everybody. And moving on to G, the 5-year curriculum plan.
Again, Ms. Hollander.
Okay.
I will make sure that you have a copy of it. As you know, every year we go through a process of aligning and making sure that our curriculum is current. Our district does an amazing job at being diligent with that. We have a clear process in place. So I have a chart for you that talks about the curriculum that is due for this current year to be revised, as well as the next 4 years after. And so I'll make sure that we have that in a minute. So the curriculum writing process will begin in January, and the sort of call to whom, who would like to participate in it has already happened, and we're getting lots of responses from teachers.
Can I just mention something?
Yeah.
This is phenomenal. This is a lot of work. This is one of the main things that we're charged as a board to do, is to approve curriculum. But it's also pretty fluid. There will be some things that may need to be moved up, depending upon state standards and so forth, or new courses that might be proposed. But as you can see, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work that goes into curriculum. So thank you guys for reading pages and pages and pages of curriculum, because it's, again, what we're most charged to do here.
We also went through a comprehensive audit of the courses that might be on the books but are no longer up to date, or they haven't been taken in a long time, just to make sure that our course of studies is also accurate and up to date.
Also through the chair. As you know, I go out and I accredit schools through NEASC, and you would be surprised at how rare a document like this is. People kind of just let their curriculum be what it is and not have a defined process or have a map written down like this one is. And so that's commendable work.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to need a motion to approve the 5-year curriculum plan.
Second.
Tammy and Eric, and all those in favor? That's everybody. Thank you. We'll move on to items of information.
Randy, you still there with us?
I'm still here,
Okay,
guys.
just checking in on you.
Smiling at you.
Okay.
We'll start with A, items of information, 5000R. These are regulations. We don't vote on them. Administrative regulations regarding non-discrimination for students. Number 2 is 5111R, administrative regulations regarding student attendance, truancy, and chronic absenteeism. 5131R, administrative regulations regarding alternative educational opportunities for expelled students. And 5145.45R, administrative regulations regarding students, and Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 and the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990. Anybody have any comments? No? Okay. B, the employment report.
Ms. Kavanaugh?
So as you can see, we've had a couple of educators due to the new para contract, which is really nice. We made 2 offers this week, yesterday and today, which I'm looking forward to seeing them on the next one. And then we have 2 people starting at the beginning of the year. So January 6th is a big day for everyone to come back and start. And you will see that we have one of our most tenured employees who will be retiring after 43 years with the district, Mr. Steve Day. So that's a pretty long tenure with the district.
Question?
Go ahead, Seth.
I'm just curious, looking at the hires. When we hire somebody at a step higher than the number of years of experience that they have, what's the reason behind that?
So there could be a couple of things. One could be that it's a subject shortage area, so we're looking to be competitive in terms of how much experience they might bring to the table, or where we should be projecting.
Another example would be, so let's say someone has certified service, that we would count as the 7 years, but they might have other additional experience that isn't certified service. Social work is a pretty good example of that. That person might have, not in this case, but a person might have 9 or 10 years of experience working for DCF or whatever it is, where they didn't necessarily use that state certification for school social workers, but they were a social worker who was licensed. So social workers are that kind of consideration.
Are they an area of shortage right now?
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Northville Elementary School roof.
You got enrollment.
Enrollment report, sorry, for December 2nd, 2024.
Yeah, so that you will see there's not a lot of variation from month to month at this point. And if you just take a look at each school, you can see how close we are in terms of where we are actually and what was projected. And of course, the outlier a little bit is kindergarten, of course, because of legislation.
Right.
And when the projection was done, that legislation didn't exist. So that's that.
Thank you. Okay, now Northville Elementary School roof. Anybody?
So we had a study done for the Milford Elementary School roof to provide some cost estimates and some options on the type of on. That has been submitted to the town. There are still options. The prices vary from $4 million to $4.7 million, depending on the type of product you're buying. The town will go through its process to go and try to put this into the budget cycle, and the ball's in their court.
I'd just like to point out, everybody has a copy of the report in their packet tonight, in case you haven't gotten all the way through.
Just a question.
Yes.
Budget cycle, you mean the bid cycle?
Yes, thank you. The bonding cycle.
The bonding cycle.
cycle.
That's what I meant.
Okay. Thank you. We'll move on to the district-wide HVAC evaluation.
So the state mandated evaluations, that did change a little bit past July, so that you can do 20% of your school fleet will all in though and still continue to do all 5 of those schools. So now we're in compliance for the next 5 years. We're done with that. Some of the deficiencies things that were not unexpected were at our elementary schools. There are unit ventilators that were, there were units on their useful service life. We should consider replacing them. We're also looking at the automation of rooftop units at Statico Middle School. I think we'll see the next couple of months how we take this plethora of information they provided and they distilled it down to a report. The state really just has questionnaires that we fill out then. We don't submit this report to the state, but we have it. And then where this will come into play is if we look for grants in the future grant cycle for HVAC repairs, we'll be able to, we need to have this submitted as part of that process. So I think we'll see this then evolve into some future HVAC projects here in the next few months. We'll submit to the board and see if we can get into the capital cycle here next summer.
Thank you.
Yep, so as we look to make these improvements, you probably already have this done, because do you have everything prioritized, like you should do this before we do this?
Yeah, well, and that's what's part of this, is so we'll discuss that, I think, in the future facility subcommittee meetings over which we want to prioritize. Do we want to look to include air conditioning in some of these projects, especially in large areas of refuge where you'd have like a gymnasium or an auditorium or such? So I think that's going to be part of the discussion we have for the next few months. This report speaks to the deficiencies and what you're doing right now. You actually had a very good report on its system, its automation, and the equipment that we have in there currently in place. But we know with several buildings that are over 50 years old that we have improvements we'd like to see in areas. So I think the discussion will be what we want to prioritize, and then we look to get cost estimates and see how that would unfold to see those projects to fruition.
If I could just point out, in the study, which is also in your packet, Mr. Cunningham has highlighted
that was helpful.
What he feels are priorities.
Yeah, they just sort of, like I said, distilled it down to some of the more crucial things. I mean, a lot of it is measurements that they don't include into their final report on that. It was just a lot of information, a lot of data was collected here. And that's good too, is that when we do a project now, we can give that data then to a mechanical engineer, an architect, and they would be able to use that and help us come up with what systems would be more advantageous for us.
Now, as far as the status of the state grant program, that's basically just kind of in limbo?
It's on hold right now for the 3rd round of grant funding, so we have to wait for them to be willing to release those funds again. But we're prepared by having this report in our hands.
Yeah, and it's been our experience with things such as the security grant that when those grants do come around again, what you've done is grandfathered in for a period of time. So if we did sit there and we pursued some of these projects, essentially save your receipts, because when that comes down the pike again, we'd be able to sit there and submit these for reimbursement potentially.
Okay, great.
So, and like we did with security, we saw that forward and we completed the majority of the projects. We're almost done with all the projects we had slated as part of the security grant a couple of years ago. So when that security grant comes around again, we've done this work, we've encumbered the funds, we've spent it, we've completed these projects, and we can submit it.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, that was a smart investment by the board for sure, to have this information.
Okay. Thank you. And we'll move on to field trip report.
I think we have one more thing, Sarah Noble, correct? Or did you talk?
There is an RFP that was put out for Sarah Noble.
It's a little confusing because they're both HVAC.
Yeah, for engineering services. So no, we're cognizant of the fact that in the classrooms, the unit ventilators at Sarah Noble, they seem to struggle on some of our higher dew point, higher temperature days, and so we've reached out. We got some bids, and really what the bids are speaking to is what these different firms would do, their approaches to how they would go and administer and costs associated with that. So then we're going to sit down and do essentially interviews with them and try to drill down a little more into what their thoughts are and what direction they would go, and see if that's advantageous for us, or if there's still things we want to do with other contractors to try to see if we can't get those rooms into a better humidity level here in those hotter months.
So the last time we discussed this, you had put out the RFP. Have you received?
We have. Just on Friday, we received 3 vendors, firms replied to us. So we'll go through that information. They're pretty large packets. We'll speak with them and ask them questions and see if we can't see if this is the direction we want to go. If it's an investment we want to make, if there are different investment levels, you could just start with one. It's just not going through to construction. It's just giving you sort of a synopsis of what they observed. They come in, actually having things like the measurements we took as part of this, I think would expedite that process and would be more cost effective for us to be able to present that data to them. They could use a lot of that. So, as I said, we're cognizant of the fact that the rest of the building is fine, but we do struggle in some of those particular classrooms, and we're trying to get some expert advice on what we can do to create a better environment in those months.
Thank you. Field trips, now we're going places.
Yeah, you see some classic field trips on here, Camp Sloper and the Superior Court and the Bronx Zoo, or
Classic.
yeah, classic field trips.
SMS, Southern Connecticut State University, is that the Odyssey of the Mind?
I think it's a leadership conference, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah, yep, for 33 students.
And then we'll move on to H, to gifts and donations. I see a couple of those.
Let's see here. So we were very fortunate to receive from the Battelle Steckel Music Trust. You can see Schaghticoke received quite a lot of money, Northville and Sarah Noble. And of course, we will thank that trust for their generosity. And you can see, for example, in the emails in the packet, for example, with that money, we're able to get 12 violins, 2 flutes, 3 trumpets, and an alto sax. So those are things that help build our instrument stockpile, for sure.
Yeah. Very nice. We are appreciative. Anybody else? Okey-doke. We'll move on to 11, discussion and possible action. For number 11, we're going to take no action on 11A. So we'll just jump down to 11B. Discussion and possible action regarding proposed memorandum of understanding between the New Milford Board of Education and the New Milford Administrators Association regarding Director of Special Education Bargaining Unit designation. Executive session anticipated. The board will take action when it returns to public session. I hereby move that the Board of Education members enter into executive session for the proposed memorandum of understanding between the New Milford Board of Education and the New Milford School Administrator Association regarding Director of Special Services and Pupil Personnel Bargaining Unit designation. I further move that the board invite Superintendent Dr. Janet Parlato into executive session.
Are you moving that?
I can move it, or somebody can move it.
So moved.
Thank you, Wendy.
Second.
Wendy and Eric?
And Eric, all those in favor? Okay. What time is it?
33. Let's just wait for Jeff to put the camera back on. You ready? Thank you.
I need a motion to,
What time do you have us returning?
8:13. I need a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between the New Milford Board of Education and the New Milford School Administrators Association regarding the Director of Special Services and Pupil Personnel Bargaining Unit designation.
So moved. Second.
Brian, Eric, all those in favor? Everybody?
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Who made that?
Have to wait for that.
Who made that?
Tom O'Brien.
Was it me?
Tammy and Tom made that?
Moderation and motions.
Okay.
Not that bad, it's only 8:15.
14.
It's a record.
14 p.m. All right.
Thank you.
Bye, Randy. I hope you feel better.
Bye.
Good night, Randy.